Welcome back to the Jupiter Live, and welcome to our new time. This will be going forward. The time we do it'll be on Fridays at 6:45 East Coast time, or as Jason, my esteemed guest today, he said Ontario time. I actually had to look it up. I wasn't sure if they were Central or if they were East Coast or what they were exactly. We are on a couple minutes earlier today, but me and Jason had a good flow already going. We want to catch you guys up on that flow. So if you keep finding yourself coming back to the Eye of Jupiter podcast, please do me a favor, like and subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, bell notifications, all that good stuff. You can also, please do me a favor, go over and follow me on Rumble. If this ever falls through because I talk about something that the people don't want me to talk about, I have a backup plan over there. That way you guys do not lose me. You know what I'm saying? All right. You can also go ahead and click and download me from your favorite podcast app, except for Apple. I will be getting there in due time, I promise you. Anything else? Yeah, so my regular show comes out on Tuesdays, and every Friday I will be having lives just like these. So with all the housekeeping out of the way, let's welcome to the Eye of Jupiter podcast a good friend of mine, an acquaintance, somebody I just needed this kind of energy coming onto the show. And we're going to talk about the state of affairs, Mr. Jason Slawosky.
Hey, Tom, thanks for having me, brother. And in case you're wondering, so
thanks for coming
Alberta
on, man.
time is 2 hours before Ontario time. So we got that straightened out.
That would then be mountain time. Okay, mountain time. All right.
Yes.
Which I will be on in a couple months, because here we don't change times. I'm in Central Time, but Mexico, where I am, doesn't change time. So I will be mountain time coming up, and then I have to then start my podcast an hour earlier for me, but it'll be the same time for everybody else. Welcome to the world in which things don't make sense. Dude, thanks for coming on. Please do me a favor. Tell the listeners a little bit about yourself, what it is that you do, and maybe where we can find you.
Oh, sure. Very happy to. So I guess this is where I always struggle. People like, talk about yourself. I'm like, oh man, what do I even say? Like, I mean, there's lots to say, but I struggle to talk about myself. So I guess I will start with, so I kind of grew up with, pretty typical life for the most part. Had a lot of weird stuff happen here and there. But just like really strange things that were always keeping me kind of drawn to the paranormal. And things really started to ramp up in 2015. And that's when I started seeking knowledge. Like, and I, started just looking at books. I mean, I kind of knew my whole life I would get into this world. I just felt like it was going to be later in life, and I just had this knowing. And honestly, as much as I had the knowing, I also thought I was kind of nuts. Like, I'm like, it's ridiculous, but like, yeah. So 2015 comes around, things start really ramping up, start checking out books. And then I met a psychic through what I now know to be called synchronicity. Nothing is by accident, but like, it was a weird snowball of coincidences that got this woman's number. So she kind of set me on the path, telling me, she's like, yeah, you have very powerful energy. You're meant to do this kind of work, like start getting into it. And I'm like, well, cool, that's why I'm here. So 2016, I learned Reiki and really had a knack for it. And one of the things I learned early on was, because I would start going to classes and things, right? And I go to different workshops, and I was like often the only guy. And I just knew, like, and from talking to the women that would go, and they, they'd be like, I wish my husband would come to these things. So like early on, I knew I kind of wanted to, I guess, be someone who showed other men, like, we can learn about energy and healing and all these things, because it's kind of always been like seen as like the women's world, like this is what the women
like that machismos. Yeah,
like we can do this too, and we can be pretty damn good at it, right? So and once I started on my journey, frankly, I kind of feel like I had a bit of a rocket ship tied to my butt, because I had some really cool experiences. Like, so this is 2025 now, so the last 9-10 years I've had so many ridiculous things happen. And I feel very fortunate for that. And it's all really accelerated my journey. And like, you know, we've talked previously about some of it, and I don't want to get too deep into the stories, but like later in 2016, I had Sasquatch encounters. And
Right.
in one, I was camping, and this is actually a campground I go to every year now, and I do a retreat. And I've actually booked it this year for the weekend of June 21st. If anybody wants to find me later and find out about this retreat, but this campground where, in my experience, they were rocking the trailer and tapping on the outside of it and like making themselves very known. And they ended up pulling me out of my body.
Yeah.
And doing some energy work on me and like this profound awakening activation. And the funny thing is these stories, so like I feel kind of funny now because I haven't been sharing this very much. Like, you know, if you you know, on your show you asked me to come on and I talk about it, but like now that I'm like looking back and I kind of, it's almost like I've had some experiences in the last month where like it's like everything's kind of making sense, and I'm like, why haven't I been talking about this?
Mhm.
You know? So anyway, so yeah, I had this, you know, the Sasquatch have been teaching me things, and I've had many experiences with them over the years, where they'll just come. Like if I go camping, and I intentionally go with them out there and connect with them, and they will come, and you know, they'll be throwing stones at the tents. I've only physically seen one once, and that was in December of 2016. But I mean, they can make themselves known in other ways, like, you know, they toss little stones at you and they make little grunts, and they can communicate. They call it mind speak. You can communicate telepathically with them. So they've been a very big part of my journey. So, and part of what has come from those information downloads is an understanding about their abilities, and they are absolutely interdimensional beings. Like they can be walking and kind of blip out of our reality. And why that's particularly interesting is because they're saying to me that humanity, when we're fully awakened, we have the potential to have a lot of the abilities they do, if not all of them, probably. And so that's kind of what we're going through, my understanding. And it's like there's Sasquatch, the ET, there's a connection between all of it. And the earth is going through an awakening, and all of us on the earth are going through an awakening. And, you know, so like the Sasquatch people they consider us their younger brothers and sisters, and they're very interested in teaching us things. And so they have, and I mean, there's other people, they've started connecting with us and being like, okay, we would like to start teaching you. So, and I mean, they've shown me some really cool things. Like I've seen with infrared vision before. Like when I've been out camping, they kind of activate it for me. And every once in a while, like I'll go downstairs and I can see everything in infrared, and it'll only last for a few seconds here and there, and I have no control of it, but it's just like they're showing me this is what's available to humanity with spiritual evolution and doing the inner work, detoxing, you know, getting in good shape, and all
shadow work, we call it.
Yeah,
we call it shadow work over here. The shadow work, right? So I'm sorry, I'm kind of jumping all around, I guess. Like, no worries, man. I'm with you. You ain't going nowhere as I ain't been before, my friend. We're good, except for the infrareds. That was a new one for me. But dude, why not? Why not? If you're being spiritually awakened and connected to everything, and you're starting to open your mind and your heart and your third eye, and these creatures can do that, then I wouldn't see why that wouldn't be a possibility.
Yeah. And So yeah, and I mean they're just, and it's as simple, honestly, like to be able to connect with them, like they're all over the place. They're almost like, I don't even know if there's anywhere you could go where they I'll say they can't, they can be anywhere they want to be. And then maybe there's certain areas where they're more, you'll stumble across them or come across them. Like actually Alberta here, like there's a ton of them here. But like, I mean, if they, I guess they could easily be somewhere where they aren't normally, is what I'm trying to say, if they wanted to try and connect with someone. But like just as simply as going out into your, going out to the forest wherever you are locally, and just like putting it out there, like, hey, if you're around, I'm, if you show them your heart, if you're a good person and you're like, I'm open to some kind of connection, some kind of contact, and then just like send out those loving intentions to them, they'll pick up on them if they're around. Because they really do.
Yeah.
They like helping us heal. They help liking us evolve. They want to see us taking better care of the planet and better harmony with nature. So, yeah, they're really incredible. And so I'm just trying to think if I want to keep going with the Sasquatch stuff or move on.
Yeah, we could go anywhere you want to. I was just like, I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I'm just listening, dude. Like I love hearing someone being passionate about something, and their experiences and how they then connect with this, this other thing. Some people are out camping, they get scared to death.
Yeah.
I had on Greg Ogles last night. He's going to be coming up on an episode, and he was out there filming. He went out with Martin Groves, and Martin Groves says, "Oh, if you want to," they were in the LBL in Tennessee and Kentucky area there, and he's like, "Oh, if you want to go see something, okay, I can help you out." He does like films and stuff about him, and he goes, "Okay, yeah, follow me." They want an hour in the woods somewhere. He did like some special whistle, supposedly. Martin Groves does. I don't know about this yet. I haven't had the chance to interview him, although I have been trying. And he said they just showed right up, right in front of my truck, and it was crazy, dude. Every time he tried to take a step forward, the being would growl at him, and then if they take a step back, it would like kind of like then relax. And he said this was an encounter of like 20 minutes. So I think if people, however it is that they're able to reach them, I would say to go in with, I would say, I don't know about being armed or unarmed. I'm sure you would say unarmed, but at the same time, it's up to you. But if you want a specific type of connection, like Ginsabrickus has, where they're like sending him, like runes and writing to him and connecting with him and actually like playing with him and showing up at his house. And it's been quite, everyone's experience is a little bit different, but I think I enjoy your way of doing it, where you go in with your open heart and with your intentions, as long as you maybe protect yourself in a certain way, as long as you know that you are doing it in good faith. And I just think I just think it's commendable. And like I said, we can talk about whatever it is you want to talk about. You were telling me in the green room, for example, that you just had quite an experience with some plants. If you'd like to go into that.
Sure. Yeah. I could go into that for sure. And yeah, and it just for, yeah, I do like when I go out, I'm finding the more I go out and sort of surrender, because I didn't grow up as a person that camped a lot. So like when I did the retreat last year, for example, I went out one night early by myself just to show I'm like, okay, like, and I wasn't even I was not even scared at all, which is I thought I would be, but like it felt very comfortable. I could hear them walking around, I could see them, the shadow of them, and they were making their noises and stuff. And it was quite an experience. So, but yeah, I might have bear spray, but that's it. I feel like when I'm out there, I'm safe with them, and if I'm in an area where I know they are, I feel like I'm protected from anything else too, honestly. So, but that's definitely my approach. But yeah, so this experience I did the other day, this was really deep, and it's a little bit. You just forgive me. It's a little bit raw to talk about because is deeply personal, and I've been like, I think I've only told, like, honestly, I think I've only told like my girlfriend and one other person. So so I guess just to sum up my journey a little bit more, like, I feel like I've been on this journey of discovery and finding so many different things I have the capacity to do, which, we're not taught. Like, and just things like, anything that Sasquatch have taught me, simple things, energy healing, mediumship, channeling. Like, everybody has some degree of ability to do these things. And I've been learning these things, and especially, and I said, again, like, to show men that we can do this too. And
Yeah.
I've learned a great deal, and I've been starting to understand for a while that part of my purpose is, as I learn these things, to sort of map out my journey and try and help others to find the same things. And I'm finding that, like, we're capable of really, really, really profound things. And I don't know how much more. So, like, it's like the thing, like seeing in infrared,
Right.
that sort
Yeah.
of thing. I've had it where, like, something's happening, like somebody will like throw something at me or whatever, and everything slows down to a crawl, and like I'm still moving normal speed, but everything's in super slow motion, and I'm just like, what the hell just happened?
I just turned into Neo. Okay.
Well, and it's like, so I'm starting to be more aware and a deeper understanding of some of my capabilities and things. And so what this journey was kind of, I had all these puzzle pieces. I had so many experiences, and I did this journey that I told you about. And it was only like a week and a half ago, I think. And so I'm laying in
Okay.
bed. What's that?
I said, okay, like it's recent, but
Oh,
you're
real
still
recent.
trying
I'm still
to filter
processing.
out and right. People
Yeah.
who have not had a psychedelic experience, it can be very confusing and it can be frightening too, but it depends on how you take it and perceive it. And
Mhm.
sometimes it takes sometimes a year, up to a year, maybe more, to really get into and sink your teeth into what you've been shown. Before we get too far, I'm sorry, I had a great question from Tim from Ohio Bigfoot Researchers. He's really he does a lot of great stuff out there in Ohio. Jason, have you ever were you ever told where they come from or what they are?
No, not by them directly. And I know, and
Okay.
that is something I definitely want to ask them. But it's so usually when I'm communicating with them, they're coming in and they're like, they have a specific thing they're showing me. So sometimes I get some questions in, but mostly it's them explaining things to me. And usually whatever they're explaining to me, I have a ton of questions about that. So, but that's definitely one I've been wanting to get clarity on, because I've heard a couple of different theories. And I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't even want to speculate. I really want to get a story directly from them
That's
before I
fine.
even guess, to be
That's
honest.
fine.
But
It was just a
yeah,
great question that Tim asked, and
it
I just
is.
wanted to make sure that I got that in there before. Yes, to go back to, we were talking about your, the psychedelic experience that happened a
Right.
week and a half ago, and
Yep.
the
Yeah.
processing of it.
Yeah, still processing, still raw, and I'm still like, trying to understand all of it. But so basically, and I'm laying in bed, and I start getting very, very cold, like insanely cold, where I'm like, for a moment, I'm a little bit concerned. And I was like gonna call my girlfriend up and be like, "Hey, come here for a minute. Like, I need more." Like, I had so many blankets on and I was frozen. And then I was just like, "Wait a minute, this has happened before. I'll be fine." So I just like surrender to it. I'm like, "What's happening?" And then I like feel this guide with me, and this guide
Okay.
is like I'm going to take you through basically a near-death experience. And I had been giving hints that something like this was going to come up. I thought something would actually happen to me, maybe, and I'd be revived, but it's like, but they said it was very important. Yeah, see, now I'm just remembering this too. They told me months ago that I was going to have an NDE and all the things were going to start to fit. So it's good. I love talking about this, like telling the story, because it's like pieces keep lining up. So this guy's just like, we're just kind of shutting down your body, okay? And I could feel my heart rate slowing and everything, and it was just like everything. My body was just slowing right down to a point of almost complete stillness, and I could feel, I could like hear my heart rate just like boom, boom.
Wow.
Boom, boom. And I'm like, it's gonna. I'm thinking to myself, my heart's gonna stop. What's happening? And the guide was just like, "You're okay. It's fine. Trust me." I'm like, "All right." And even in that moment, I think he said, "You knew this was coming," and I was like, "Okay." So I just like surrendered even deeper, and it was like almost to the point where I feel like my heart would have flatlined, and it was like I went under something and started coming back up, and then I warmed up. My body, I could feel my just warmth coming back, and my heart rate came back to normal. He's like, "Very good, we're done." I'm like, "That was it?" He's like, "Yeah." And then I was like fully immersed in the spirit world.
Okay.
And I remember, so it's like, it's weird. I remember the feeling. I can't remember a lot of the visuals and details. It's very much like trying to remember a dream. But it was like I had to prioritize certain pieces of information to bring back. But I just remember being off somewhere, and it was essentially, so the information I received was like, so I've known for a while, like, you know, and I'm sure you've talked to Star Seeds on your podcast and are aware of what that is, right?
No, I am not.
Oh, okay. So that's the idea of like having at least part of your soul, right? Because we can have many, our soul is in our body, then you have a higher self, and then your higher self can have different aspects, right? And so like if you've been an extraterrestrial on another planet, and you volunteer to come here in a human body, you have your human experience, but then you'll wake up to the awareness that you also have, you know, this other aspect that's like got extraterrestrial.
Okay, origin. I didn't know that. I didn't know there was a name for that. I definitely know what that is. I've experienced that myself. So I just didn't know it was called Starseed.
Okay, yeah. So basically, it was like an even stronger confirmation of that for me, and giving me like downloads of information around that, and some activations of energy. And then there was this piece where, you probably heard of like, you know, the idea of like councils and galactic councils and sort of thing.
Yes, I've heard of this. Yes.
Yeah. So, where I was, and I'm, you know, like I said, it's like remembering a dream. It's a little foggy. If I was I think I was like, some part of me was on a ship, and we were talking about Earth and what's going on Earth, and it was like, it was almost like this meeting, and but it was more like telepathic. Like it was like we were exchanging life experiences, and kind of like, this is what humanity is. Like this is how humanity has evolved, what they've become, and what it feels like to me is that there's about a 200-year timeline where the Earth is going to be fully ascended into the higher frequency, and where humanity needs to be up to that too. So, right. Yeah, so there was almost like there was just like these ideas, like it's just like the sharing of ideas among so many different beings. and we were kind of sharing our life experiences. And it was sort of like there was three options almost. And I mean, three basic options and maybe like variations of each, but kind of like, would it be better for the earth if there was some sort of a cataclysm and society had to start over? Or
Okay.
do we leave humanity as it is and, keep getting influences, like where, like, say, angelic beings will come in and inspire us and then tell people to spread the the good news, however you want to say it, like trying to like
Yes.
gently influence humanity. Or in the middle option is kind of like, okay, so star seeds start really awakening, start really being able to have some abilities. Like, how can I put this? It's almost like, I don't know exactly what it might look like. I mean, I could probably speculate, but like it would be like people starting to awaken into abilities where it's like, I can show you. Okay. Like, so, mediums nowadays, like some really good mediums, there's no denying they're mediums. Some are kind of like, well, if you have faith in them and believe them, they're okay. And I find a lot of practitioners are that way. Like, you have to have the faith and believe because they're not giving you the evidence. So it's like abilities and skills that have undeniable evidence are going to start awakening in people.
I think that you remember back in 2012 was supposed to be the end of the world or the Mayan
Yes.
calendar
Yes.
rehab. I think what happened is there was a switch that happened, and
100%.
I think the ones who are able to or have the ability to open their heart got more opened, and that there's been like a split. Like there's like this really bad word that people say normies and things like that. I just see them as like, they'll be here with it in due time, but there's ones who have taken off first. And I think it's been we're almost 15 years into it. And that's just my thing. I think there's been a split, like a reality split. And that was the end of the world as it was. Like, we're in a different paradigm at the moment. That's just my take on it.
100%.
And we have a question, another great question that came in from Tim. I have a question. I feel like that I asked to be here at this time, and I live. So how do you know if it's real or just your mind thinking this? So to summarize, he's asking. I'm sorry. I'll put it back up. Pardon.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I understand the question. So basically, it's like feeling like I volunteered to be here. I'm here to help. I volunteered. I came from somewhere else because that's how I
feel. That's how I feel.
Yes, and it's like, yeah, how do you know that? And it's like, for me, it's like
intuitive.
It's like all the work, doing all the work, all the spiritual practices. Tom, I'm sure you've had people coming on talking about all kinds of things, whether it be breath work or energy work or whatever, fasting, detoxing, all the work
I've had a few.
do adds up. And then that suspicion that you're here for a special purpose, it becomes a knowing. The doubt that you're here for a higher purpose goes away, and you start living it. And that's where I've gotten to now.
Okay.
I know. My doubt is gone after this experience that I'm talking about. That doubt is
okay. So what he's saying, to reiterate what Jason's saying, is like you have to look into yourself through meditation and other forms of being that which you already know intuitively. And then those things will become more, you will manifest more of what you really are instead of what you supposed or thought you were, and starting to know more than guessing. That's an incredible message. That was a great answer, dude. Thank you.
Yeah. It's you have your own experience and your own evidence, right? And then you get to the point where I want to share and help others have the experience and others find their evidence. So
yes. And what happens is that, like on shows like mine and many others, there's a lot of great shows out there, guys. That like-minded people will come together. I've been lucky so far as to have it where I've had no no really issues within the small community I've built. People, I have like, devout Christians, I have witches, I have people like you who do spiritual work, I'm more in your direction. But I keep myself grounded in all of it. And for some reason, I've been extremely lucky in this group that I've had to, that's starting with the Eye of Jupiter. They've been incredible. I've had incredible support from people like Pam and Jim and Magical Journey, who's coming up right after this. Guys, don't switch off YouTube. He's going to be right up after my show. I think he's talking to Harley Owens tonight. Is that correct? Make sure I'm get that right, guys. Pam, if you can tell me. And you're in the right place for this, dude. So like you could just open your heart and just show that love that I always feel when I talk to you. So this is great.
Okay, awesome. Glad to hear it. Yeah, I can't remember where I was in that journey, but oh yeah. So this would be the middle choice was the starseeds start waking up, having some stronger abilities where it can't be questioned that humanity there's more to humanity than what we've been told. And then also there's the ETs are going to start showing up. And I'm not talking orbs and drones. I'm talking big triangles.
Right.
Over Calgary, over major cities where they can't, just hide it or
there's no denying anymore. Yes.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I never do dates, but like I was telling the one friend I told this story to, she's like,
okay.
When? And I was like, I don't know. And then I got June 27th. So I wouldn't be surprised if something big happens on or before June 27th of this year. But I will say I'm not a big date person. So, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm not either. It can put you out there on a limb, but the people who do go out there on a limb and then say something and then it happens, it's wild and it's crazy, but like 90% of the time it doesn't happen. But I've had another guy on Mark Sapnik from Slovenia who's in contact with beings all the time, and he's saying, I think he said 2027 is when it's going to be undeniable. That's what he says. Basically saying the same thing you are.
Yeah. And you know what? When I say June 27th, that could have even been June 2027. You know what? It's tricky. I'm still learning a lot, so who knows? But like it's funny because I've gotten dates before in meditations and like done voice memos about them and told my girlfriend, and then it comes true, and I'm like, I didn't.
Yeah, dude. That's the crazy ones. You keep it to yourself, and only you can be like, whoa. And then if you tell somebody, they won't believe you anyway. But that's the thing. That's also the self-work. It's like you don't need validation of others to do good things. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and like the last time I got a message about something like that was in the fall. And the message I got, I was communicating with Anunnaki, and it was they were talking to me, and I said, okay, well, whatever, like, how am I going to know that this is, because they were basically saying like, we're going to start getting involved. And I said, how will I know? They're like, well, we're going to start seeing a lot more of us real soon. And I was kind of came out of it, and I was like telling my girlfriend, and she's like, how soon? I'm like, real soon, like within the next week, but like maybe 3-4 days. The very next day, all the drones shit started up.
Oh,
yeah.
That's incredible.
I didn't say shit to anybody.
Yeah. You gotta do
the drones right. The arms.
So we have
like the next day.
We have a person that are new to the show. I do not know who they are. They are Under Fire 987. They're asking what's the name of your show if you have one. We'll certainly want to reach out to him because he lives close to you. Jason, do you have a place where they can reach you?
Yeah. So you can go, like, my website is thequantumlighthouse.ca. And I can easily be found on Facebook or Instagram, just searching the Quantum Lighthouse. That's the name of my healing center where I'm at right now. So that's the easiest place to reach out. Yeah. So
awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, so back to that, what they were showing me. So this, what they're showing me how they're going to intervene is basically the middle option. They're like, yeah, we're going to start like amping up and really working with star seeds to get people fully online so we can start showing other people what the capacities of humanity is. They're going to start showing up from down there, and like they said they're going to start intervening. And it, like what I got the impression of is like, it's like bringing, because I mean, masculine energy has been just demonized and destroyed and distorted on this planet. So it's almost like they're bringing in some masculine energy. So like if we're going to start trying to drop nukes, they're like, no. They will shut that down. They will, like, if it's like it, I almost got the feeling like if it came down to it, they might just like ground our militaries and just like come in like dad's back, time to stop playing, you little buggers. Like you've been assholes. Sorry, I don't know if I can swear, but it's like you need a spanking. It's time to start treating this planet with respect. It's time to start treating each other with respect. Your shenanigans will no longer be tolerated. That was kind of and I don't know exactly. That's just like the energy that I was getting from it, because they're like, we may have to come and help and intervene a little bit, because one of the things that was like in a discussion, because like at first my thoughts were like, leave us alone, and then they're like, there's a 200-year window. Like, do you think humanity is going to evolve on its own in 200 years to the point where Earth needs it to be, or do they need help like we've done before? And they're like, it was showing me, it was like I was dipped into humanity, almost like a gauge to come out. And then like they showed me my life. It was like on this review, it's on this string, and they're like, it was weird. It was like this data report, and like I'm like, oh, that's my whole life. That's everything that happened to me. And I kind of understood it all at once. And they're like, okay, based on your life, is humanity going to be where they need to be in 200 years for what? And because I just have this knowing of like where we should be in 200 years ideally. And we're so far away. I'm like, no, I don't see humanity getting there. So they're like, so we need to intervene again and help and teach. And I'm like, yes, that actually feels right. So like that's
I've heard somebody. Yeah, I'm sorry, Jason. No, sorry, I thought there was a national pause there. I'm getting there, my friend. Somebody said like, okay, if they want us to, because people always seem to come back with this, they're telling us not to destroy the planet and take care of each other, and this, and that, and the other. So the people who speak against that would say, why don't they go to the president? Why would they go to these leaders of these governments and say, hey, you guys stop the war, or we're going to do this and that and the other? Okay. And my response to that, I don't know how you feel about it, Jason. My response is that nothing that's good ever comes from the top down, which is not the way to see it anyway. It's kind of a level playing field. That's also another topic for discussion. But coming from any type of governmental agency, it's never going to come from the top down. It always comes from the bottom up. If we can change the hearts and minds of people by setting the example. Here's your someone got your website up. Boom. There we go. If we could do that by one, by just showing an act of kindness every day, many acts of kindness. You can't do great things with love, but you can do little things with great love. And that's where I think these people are wrong. You can't go to some leader, like whether it be Trump or Trudeau or whoever it is. Or Claudia Sheinbaum, I'm here in Germany, Mexico, excuse me, 20 years of that. And it does it because they just won't receive the message, because to get in that position, you're kind of have to have a little bit of dirty energy to begin with, if you ask me.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree. And thank you for bringing it up, because that is one of the important points. So when I'm up there and they're kind of like, okay, so this is kind of what's happening, I'm like, what do I do going forward? And they're like, just go back. Work hard at the center, work harder at the center, just keep doing the good work, and just, like you said, acts of kindness, share the stories. The people that want to ridicule me can ridicule me. The people that it resonates with will listen, that's just all I can do. And, and I teach Reiki classes, like I teach, and the stuff, like some of the things that I've been taught by like Sasquatch, I will teach other people those things as much as I can. But yeah, it's just being we're kind of the boots on the ground, like you too, like doing this work and getting the word out. Like we all have a piece. and it's just important.
That's what I'm trying. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do.
Conversations and
yeah, a lot of people a lot of people go to protection, when it comes to going to these things, like people are bringing up on the side, like there's people who believe in that some of these things could be bad players. And if you know anything about aliens, they are bad players. There's different types of grays. There could be, some people use the word demon, and they say, always test them, ask them certain things, be aware of yourself, you know what I mean? Like, in Christians will say demons, and I will say just bad players. That's what I would say. And the way I protect myself is by knowing through and through that I'm a good person, and that the protection of God, or slash the universe, the higher power, is always within me, and I'm expressing that, therefore they can't hurt me. You know what I mean? That's my protection. My protection is my love for everything and everyone. That's what I try to do. Anyway, I don't know if it works. So far I've been pretty lucky, I suppose, but yeah.
Intention is everything. No, like really intention is everything. And setting those boundaries. And literally, if that intention works for you for protection, and you believe it's going to work, it's going to work.
Right.
Yeah, and I do believe absolutely in the bad players, and the reason they don't go to the governments, they probably have. But and I'm not going to ever suggest that everybody in government is bad, but a lot of them just follow orders or whatever. But at the top of the top, there is a small elite group that is very evil, that is hoarding resources and money and technology and wisdom and knowledge for a very benefit of very small few of them. And we're seeing the fall of that play out.
Right.
P. Diddy. I don't even follow the news anymore.
Jeffrey Epstein. I can't. It's impossible.
Yeah.
100% agree with you. If you are hoarding all these things for yourself, and you're just worried about the here and now in the moment, just to put yourself in a position of that not matriarchy, not patriarchy, the hierarchy of humanity when it comes to anything that you can touch, like objects and things of that nature, is some type of rooted, I guess you would say, primate type thing that may still be in our DNA, but it doesn't help anything or anyone. And in the end, we know intuitively that it's wrong, but there's something within us that makes us want to do that. And these people in power now are that. So we have to fix that on this level where we are now. That's just where I am. And like I said, man, I'm here in Mexico, a little kid talks to me, he goes, okay, how do you say this in English? Or you speak another language, how do you say this in German? I had a little discussion with a little kid outside here today, and he goes, whoa, that's weird. It's like, yeah, man, this is my third language. I open up and I speak to everyone, because that makes life fun. You get to learn everything about everyone, and you get surprised a lot of times. So yeah, these people who hoard and keep it to themselves for their own benefit, we going down the wrong path. And we really, the only way you can change it, I think, is that's another thing, Jason. I'm sure you're really well aware of this. If you want to change the world, you have to change yourself. And if everyone did that, because that's easy. It's hard. It's a hard thing to do, but it's an easy decision.
Yeah.
You have control over what you do to others and how others perceive you, not based upon good or bad, just because intuitively that's what it is. And when you do that, and everyone does that, everyone works on themselves in their own shadow, we will instantly be in nirvana. Instantly. Yeah. But people are too busy, worrying about the next music video or whatever they're into. I don't know what I don't know what they do.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a question. Or not.
So you just glitched out there. Was there a question? Did you, or it just kind of slowed down and sped up, so I missed it?
I'm just yeah, I'm still working. People don't realize that this internet connection is through the whole house. It comes with the rent, and I got to buy a cable and I can connect to it, because it's actually right outside my door. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. What I'm basically saying, Jason, is if we want to change the world, we have to change ourselves.
Yeah,
that's all I'm
absolutely. And then it just ripples out. It is so true. And I tell people all the time, this healing center I've opened, we teach I teach different things. Like I teach energy work. We do meditations here. We do breath work. We do. I have a hypnagogic light. We practice channeling. All sorts of things. And that's what I
Tell me about
every
breath work.
class
Tell
I
me about
teach.
breath work.
Um,
Tell me a little bit about breath work without giving away the, because it's something you practice that you help people practice with. I know a bit about breath work. I do like Wim Hof and meditation.
Yeah, with breath work, I mean, okay, I've actually only co-facilitated breath work, so I haven't actually taken a class in it yet. But like somebody will be leading, and
Okay.
I'll go around and help with the energy work. So basically, it's the idea that you get hyper oxygenated, and it causes stored energy and trauma in your body to be released. Like, now, I'm not going to get any more technical than that because somebody who knows what they're talking about will be like, you butchered it. But it's insanely powerful. Like, you can have the most transcendent, almost like psychedelic experiences. Some people have had out of body experiences doing it, and you're just breathing. And so, like, what'll happen is you'll take there's all sorts of different ways, but like one of the ones is like a circular breath. So you like, and you breathe into your belly, chest, and you're like, no pause, and you keep doing that. And then the first little bit, your body will be like, you can't do this. And then like it feels uncomfortable. You push through that, then the energy starts flowing. And like, my God, your hands will vibrate and you'll just feel like, and sometimes you get technique.
Oh yeah.
Up. But like the energy that flows through you and the releases are just mind-blowing. And my friend Jill, she's one of the facilitators that comes in, it was funny. And a good facilitator is key too, because I tried breath work a handful of times over the years and never got anything out of it. And my friend Jill learned it last spring, and she invited me she's like, do you want a free session? I need to practice. And it was incredible. It was just, and I'm like, you can do this just from breathing? This is nuts. And I'm like, but I finally had the experience.
I do. Too. Have you heard of Wim Hof breathing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because that's the one I do, which is, I think if you're the technique that you're talking about is just a different, I don't know who's the original, but they're different iterations of each other. And I've done that too. And I'm telling you something, guys, it works. Your fingers will tingle, and you will have an altered perception of reality. And if you are feeling down and depressed or tired, you will be oxygenated, you will be rejuvenated, and you will realize if you keep practicing, there's points, and definitely in the Wim Hof, there's a part where all the air is out of your body, and then you hold it. You could start stepping up to at the beginning I could only do for like a minute, but after you do about say 4 times in a row, I can get up to around 3-4 minutes of just no breath in my body. I hyper oxygenate my blood, and I'm telling you guys, it works. It's wild. And when I was in my depressed state, it really elevated me. And I'm speaking firsthand because I needed something like that. Or dunk yourself in cold water. Like seriously, cold as you can stand it. Just dunk yourself in it. It really, really works, guys. So just go check it out. Wim Hof breathing, or
you can whatever. Go on YouTube.
Jason's his I don't know what it is. Maybe there's something you can find somewhere. And even if you practice it alone in your house.
You there? So you just kind of froze for a second.
Okay. Did it freeze?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Freeze. Someone freeze? Are we in the freezer?
I can hear you.
You guys see me?
I can see you.
Okay. Okay, there we go.
You got it?
Oh, here we go. Well, I'm back.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, yeah.
Yes, I think so.
So I just want to go back to, like, you were talking a little bit earlier about December 21st, 2012. So yeah, that was very much.
Oh wow. Okay.
That was like the shift, it wasn't the end of the world. Because I remember when it was coming up, I was like, literally, I'm like, well, I knew there was something to it, and I wasn't spiritually inclined, but I'm like, there's something to this. And they put all this fear around it, like it was going to be the end of the world. But what it was the transition of the cycle. They have the 25,920 year grand cycle. It's like you're in light, then you go into
Right.
darkness. So we're coming out of darkness. We're going back into the age of light. That was what December 21st, 2012 about the Mayan calendar. Now, so like this is the time period where the earth is ascending, the energies around, the frequencies around the earth are ascending, and humanity is supposed to ascend too. And one of the things, I don't think I haven't shared this story too much. So there's also another prophecy that's very similar to the Egyptians. And it's called the Kepher prophecy. Essentially, very similar to the Mayan prophecy, like very, very similar, slightly different description, but 25,920 years, it all fits. Their day, however, was June 21st, 2021, summer solstice. So I was in Egypt. I don't know if I've ever shared the story with you, Tom. I was in Egypt
Right.
on that day.
I think I remember hearing this on who is it? It's a big podcast out of Canada too. It's with two guys, Darren and I can't think of the other guy's name right now. Grimerica. That's where I first heard you, was on Grimerica, and that's why I reached out to you initially. And it's because of this story. Please enlighten us, because I remember like bits and pieces of it because it's been a couple years, but it's a pretty cool story to say the least.
Yeah. So so I guess in a way too, like this story, because like I said, all the loose ends got tied up in that journey. And like this story, like this was actually a very powerful initiation for me. And I keep learning more and more about just how cool it was what happened to me. So I'm in Egypt on a tour, and in our entire tour group, we only had 13 guests because it was during COVID. So like, I'm going to tell you, no better time to go to Egypt, because tourism was so slow. It was still busy, but it was like 10% of what it usually is. So first thing in the morning, it's like 2 a.m. in the hotel lobby. And like, there was this voice telling me, you need to teach people Reiki while we're here. You need to do your Reiki attunements in the Great Pyramid. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. I'm not doing that. And it was like, no, it's important. You must do it. And it was just wouldn't stop. And so finally, I'm like, fine. Okay. So I just, excuse me, everybody. Anybody want to learn Reiki? I want to do your attunements in the pyramid if you want to learn. And 3 people were like, yes. So they came over. We had a quick chat because I didn't know these people. And so I found 3 students. So we arrive at the pyramid at like 4:30, 5 o'clock, something like that. So we were there for sunrise. Like we were in the pyramid over sunrise. So we go down to the subterranean chamber. Tour guide talks about what everything is, blah, blah, blah. And he says, okay, everybody, let's go back up the ramp. We're going to go to the Queen's Chamber yet. And I'm like, hey, is it okay if I do my Reiki attunements down here? Because I had to ask, obviously. He's like, yeah, no problem. So he left. Everybody left. He left an attendant outside the door. So the subterranean chamber is basically like the basement of the Great Pyramid, as far as we publicly know. There's more, but it's the lower chamber, right? And so we're down there. And the 3 students sit on this rock wall, like this shelf, basically. And I stand in front of them and I start doing my attunements. So I do mine a little bit different. I don't do mine through the touching. I do mine like psychically, and it works really well. So as I'm doing their attunements, all of a sudden, so I had my eyes closed, And I'm not a super visual person. Like when I get an image, I pay attention because I'm not getting images constantly. And it's actually a blessing because when you do get them, you pay attention. So all of a sudden, I'm doing my thing, and Thoth appears in front of me, like the ibis-headed god, right? If the Egyptian god, and he's huge, and he's just like beyond high definition. He was so crystal clear. He appears in front of me, and he goes, "While you're initiating your students, I'm going to initiate you." And he goes like this with his hands, and there's this great big white light onk, and he pushes it into my chest, and my energies just exploded, and I could barely hold it together to finish my attunements, but I did finish them. And one of the students right away, I just said, "So what did you guys experience?" And one guy right away goes, "Thoth was here. I've worked with him before. He was here. He helped. I felt energy." His fiance goes, "I don't know what that was, but I felt incredibly powerful energy and a presence." And then the third person goes, "I don't know. I felt some energy. I've never felt energy before. That was incredible." So like everybody kind of shared in the experience, and it was really good. And then, we caught up with the group, and I actually got to lay down the box in the king's chamber. I got to lay in it for a bit and kind of do some consciousness exercises because you're not allowed to meditate. So it was great. And I was just like,
really?
Yeah. So
they don't allow you. Why don't they allow you to meditate?
I think it's because of the religious beliefs, because it's Muslim. So I think, yeah. So you just have to be careful how you state things there, basically. Yeah. So, and then we go back to the hotel room. I get back to the hotel. It's like 11 in the morning. And I'm just like, what the hell just happened to me? Because and again, I work with plant medicine, but I was completely sober. Like I'm not going to mess with anything in Egypt because you'll never see me again. Like it's not worth the risk. So completely sober.
And Jason, that cannot happen. Jason, that was a good idea, a good concept, and I'm glad you followed through with it.
Yeah. So when I got back to the hotel room, and it was a nice hotel too. Like I out from my balcony, it looked like you could throw a rock and hit the pyramid. It was so close. And very fancy hotel. So I go to lay down because I'm just absolutely wiped out. And I'm just like, I'm just going to go have a nap and like process what just happened. So I laid down, and temperature controlled room, but immediately this energy starts coming down. I can't remember. So the energy was coming like out from the cosmos, through my crown, out my feet to the pyramid.
Wow.
And it would go that way for a few minutes. Then from the pyramid, through my root chakra and my feet, up, out for 3 minutes. And it was just back and forth, back and forth,
Whoa.
Back and forth. And I started getting extreme heat. Like I was drenched in sweat. And I would go extremely cold to where I thought I was going to freeze. And I felt like I was being electrocuted. Like it physically hurt so bad.
Right.
It lasted for 3 hours.
Right.
And all these Egyptian gods and goddesses kept coming to me and like talking to me and encouraging me. And because as it went, it got harder and harder. It got colder, like because it would be like 3 to 5 minutes of cold, 3 to 5 minutes of hot. And it got colder and colder each time, hotter and hotter each time. And the electricity feeling got stronger and stronger. Like that would come and go. But they kept talking to me. And I was getting to the point where I was just like, I don't think I can do this anymore. And this one of them came to me, this female presence. So she's like, "Please hold on. You can handle this. We would never hurt you. We know it hurts, but just please hold on." And she left. I'm like, "But what's happening?" And another one comes up and they're like, and she says, we're downloading energy to you that hasn't been on your planet since the days of Atlantis. And it has to be today. Like, it's very important that this happens. And I was just like, okay. And they're like, "You're going to be fine. Just tough it out." And so I just endured it, and it hurt so bad. But then all of a sudden it just went, and it was done. Just like an exhale.
It's kind of like it's kind of like a trip almost, like there's trips that can do that to you,
Yeah.
like if you're taking psychedelics like mushrooms, where
Yep.
it can come in like phase and vibrate and pulsate, and
Yes.
it become very uncomfortable. And
Yep.
then, or I've never taken LSD because I don't I don't believe in LSD personally because it's more of a chemical thing. I believe in the natural stuff, like
Yeah.
the two phosphorus is in the position that it shouldn't be. That's what I think is more apt to who I am. And when it goes, and it just goes away like it comes on slowly, and then it starts doing that sometimes.
Yeah.
When it goes in like a just like you're saying. So that's what it's reminding me of, that experience that you're detailing here. That's quite
Yeah.
incredible. What kind of insights did you get from that?
Um, well, I mean, in the moment, it was, I mean, I knew it was weird. Like leading up to going to Egypt, I had this feeling because I almost backed out. I almost didn't go. And I had, because I mean, of the time, like it was so much more difficult. And of course, I didn't have the papers. Like
Right.
it was harder. And I almost backed out, but like it was like, and even some of my intuitive friends like would reach out and be like, "You're still going, right? It feels important." And so, like going through that experience, like I knew something big was going to happen, but I didn't know what. And then even right after, I was just kind of like, "What the hell was that?" And I probably had stronger words in my heads than hell, but it was just like, it was like that was insane. And I really didn't start
Okay.
understanding it until after, because like you said, it can take, like I'm still processing that experience, but like there's certain things that have come through with that. And it's like, so when Toth pushed that onk, he put this onk into my chest, and which is really interesting because some people I meet will be like, why do you have this giant onk in you? I've never seen that before. And I really haven't shared this story that much. And so like with that energy, I can pass it on to people. Like when I teach Reiki, for example, I pass that on as an additional attunement on top of the Reiki symbols. And it's like it's just I don't know. It's like it's just like another powerful energy signature. And I also have been shown um like it was like months and months later, I was meditating and I was taken out of my body and shown that experience from like a bird's eye view watching, and I'm sitting there watching Toth do that to me. And when he did that, this like massive like in real life, if it was like a grounding cord about this big that came out of like the depths of the pyramid and went to my lower back. And like now, every
Whoa.
time I tell that story, even right now, my back gets so hot and I get a rush of energy and I feel like I'm leaning up against the pyramid like this. Like, and I like, and I can connect. Like, so when I'm doing energy work sessions, I can draw in that pyramid's energy or any other pyramid on the planet. I can connect with it. And it's like I can harness the energy of it and do whatever. Like if people need a ceremony or a ritual or something to activate their energy, and it's weird because it's like I won't know what pyramid it is, but it'll be the one they need, and I'll see it around me, and I'll do the initiation or whatever it is they need. It's not like I can be like, oh, Tom, you come to see me. I'm going to give you this and this and this. I might know something's
No.
coming, but I don't know what until we
Right.
start doing the work, and then it starts coming
Yeah.
through, and it's really cool because like I can describe what I'm experiencing, and more often than not, before I've even said anything, the client is already experiencing the same thing. So it's cool. Like I'm still unpacking it, honestly.
Yeah, I think I've only been to one pyramid site here in Mexico, and that's a place called Edzna, Edzna. Uh, and it's about an hour from here. And guys, I got to tell you, those places, you can't get up next to the pyramid anymore. I got close. There's they put like a railing up because it used to be like 10 years ago, I was told that you could go into it and everything. But they got the Mayan symbols and the writing and everything. Those places, there was a very unique feel about those places. And you know you would think like, okay, for example, like a lot of cities, especially in the modern world, your quote unquote modern world, are put like next to a river or next to some type of port. But there's certain places like for example, here in the Yucatan Peninsula, there is no rivers. They're very few and far between, if there is any at all. It's just a large limestone outcropping. And so you have to think to yourself, like, okay, why would they put this here? And I think a lot of times because of quartz and limestone also has like that energy feel to it.
Mhm.
But when you're at these sites, as Jason is saying, there is something going on there for sure. Because I felt it; it was very palpable.
Yeah. 100%. And then if you look at the placement of them, like I'm not a scholar about the placement of the pyramids, but I've watched Ancient Aliens. So, but we'll see and they'll show you like the pyramids and the sacred sites. They're like all on like the certain, what is it, 32 and a half degrees or something, either side of the equator. I can't remember. There's two measurements where it's like you get a whole bunch of sacred sites. And it's like, when they were built,
The
allegedly,
33rd parallel. The 33rd parallel.
What's that?
Yes. I think one is called the 33rd parallel. That's one. And then
Yeah,
there's another one where it goes all the way around the earth. There's another one too. I think there's north and there's one south as well. If I
yeah,
remember right.
yeah. When you look at some
There's
of how the
pretty
lines,
interesting stuff there.
like, yeah, they're on ley lines
Yeah.
and things. So,
Yeah. It's wild.
yeah, but
Yes.
and, I mean, and that
Yes.
just
And
goes.
trying to explain that to somebody, they won't if you yeah, please.
I was just going to say, like, and really going back to what I'm saying about, humanity's awakening, and we're going to start to realize we have all these profound abilities. But what we're also going to discover is just we forgot what we already knew. This the last time humanity rose, probably before the ice age, we knew
Yes.
so much more, and our
Absolutely.
technology wasn't based on gas and diesel. It was based on consciousness and frequency and vibration and energy and sound and all of these things. Because it's one thing, like you go like two things in Egypt, the pyramids, of course, and then there's the Serapeum. And that was the other thing for me, where it's like you see these things and you can see them on documentaries and TV and different things and pictures, and you're like, wow. You go stand inside and beside those things. That's a whole level of, okay, how? Like you stand beside the pyramid and look up. It's like you're looking up a
I can
mountain.
only imagine.
And it's just like, you want to
Oh,
tell
you're talking
me?
about the Grand Gallery. What do they call it? The gallery?
Well, like just when you're standing beside the Great Pyramid, like just when you stand beside the Great Pyramid,
Oh,
you
okay.
look up.
Oh, I thought you meant inside.
And then the Serapeum is the one where it's like you go down a little bit, you go in through an entrance, and it opens up into this gallery, and it's like this carved underground with these like massive granite boxes that are like something like 10 or 12 feet wide, like 20 feet long, and they're lowered below the platform. And those things, when you see them, you're like, there's no way we could do this now. What did they know? What did they understand that
Right.
we didn't? And I think, yeah, maybe they had help. Maybe it was, but I'm sure,
Right.
regardless if there's like extraterrestrial help, we must have had knowledge and abilities ourselves too, because they're doing everything they can to hide it from us. Like, you go to Egypt, everything's destroyed. Like there's the forms are there, but all the hieroglyphs are like chipped away. But it was interesting. A lot of them, I was looking at hieroglyphs and just knew what they meant. But there's so much of them that are destroyed. And it's like, that was, if all of that was there, we probably would have had the instructions on how everything's been done. But there's so much destruction to everything.
Right.
To try and hide that knowledge. Again, going back to that 1% that wants to keep everything to themselves.
Yes, and maybe because you keep the knowledge and you're in control somehow. But here's a thought that just crossed my mind, and I want to know what you think about it. It's like I think there's been many iterations of technology, like before the one 13,000 years ago. If you look at Göbekli Tepe and you look at all these, the Incas, the Mayans, all these. they had some type of ability that we do not have now. So you were saying it's consciousness and the ability to move things with your mind and all those kind of things. I think the one we're in now is like silicon based and firing off electricity and whatever that is. It's its own separate time. So, and I think there was also maybe even a time before that, which we're still trying to uncover. But it's even older than that, because I follow Graham Hancock's work. I think that this where we are now in the Western Hemisphere is actually the old world, and the one over on the other side is the new world. Because every time they throw lidar down here in this area where I am, they keep finding massive roads and massive infrastructure that's covered by the jungle. So my question is, like, what do you feel about that? Like every time, like, that we rise in civilization, some catastrophic thing happens, whether it be self-inflicted or something from outside the Earth's atmosphere comes in and hits us, or dinosaur farts or whatever it is, that we seem to build to another one and then it goes away again. I just want to know, what do you think about that idea?
Yeah, I mean, I think with the this so there's this the 25,920 year cycle, and then there's some, like, the precession of the equinox, and there's different cycles within that, and I don't understand it, all of it, like, to break it down, but so it does bring up two things for me that I kind of could share. So, like, yeah, there is definitely a rise and fall of technology. Now, one thing that came through to me was, and this is something kind of a blend of something Sasquatch have taught me in the past, which was that right now, our technology, so we need to blend our science with some of the basics of the elements and indigenous teachings: air, earth, fire, water, ether. Right
Agreed.
now, our technology is based on the element
ether.
Fire.
Ether.
We will not get access to some of the, and I guess, okay, so we've got fire and we've got some of the earth element. I'm just channeling this right now. We've got some of the earth element, is what our technology is based on. But, like, it's like I guess we start with earth and we go up to fire, but we're so destructive with it. They're not going to let us, like, we're not going to learn about how to unlock the wind and water elements, or we're not going to be allowed, because it's like everything's based on the fire element, and we need to use that responsibly before we get access to more. That's when our technology could really expand. That's the difference between us and ETs. They have all of the elements and they have the ether. We don't get that until we can learn to play with fire properly, is essentially what I'm getting.
Because that makes perfect sense. If you think the internal combustion engine, that's fire. That's fire, guys. That makes so much sense, because that's where a lot of the technology is based around. Is like you broke it down, oil, and I just want silicone. I'm just on the silicon. We're just on different ends of the same spectrum of this iteration of humanity. Exactly. Yeah, so that makes sense, because if we can't handle that, how can we handle the other ones? No. We're not ready for that, which is more about the shadow work, the self work. That you're tying it all together, man. I love it.
Yeah, and like, even nuclear energy is still the fire element. And one of the other things they told me is that before we're allowed to really expand, like, because, like, again, technology merging with consciousness and spirituality is when we really take off. And it's like, they won't teach us things, because it's like, the things, once we know, I feel like it's so simple. Is so profoundly simple. So we have to be taking care of everyone as a society, as humanity, not based on these BS lines we've drawn in the sand. We are humanity. We need to take care of everyone, because it's going to be to the point. Like, look at how things are now with 3D printers. Anybody can print a gun. Okay. It'll be to the point where, that kid that's been picked on his entire life and feels like he's left behind, he might be able to 3D print an atomic bomb. Like, that's not exactly, but I mean, the technology will be so readily available and so simple. It's like, we have to be able to take care of everyone so that there's no one left behind who would think to use it. You know what I mean?
Right. So, okay. I'm going to put out a bit of a challenge for everyone in the chat and everyone listening. Hey, hello. Please let the guest talk. Okay, Lee Richard, I'll let the guest talk. Okay, sure. Everyone has their opinion. It's fine. Here's a challenge to everybody out there. Do me a favor today. Go out to one of your neighbors, one if you haven't met yet, someone who just moved in your apartment complex in your neighborhood, and just go by and do the simple thing of saying hello. Just saying, hi, how are you? Just do that and then see if that can spread out to the rest, because that one hello might save that person from doing something that would be unmentionable. Just go ahead and do that one thing today, guys. Let's go ahead and every day try to do that one thing. Smile at somebody. Hold a door open for somebody who's carrying in a package or who's moving something. Those things, those little things mean so much. That's just a slight challenge, everybody. Just go ahead and try that one time and see what happens.
I love it. It's a beautiful challenge. I've done that myself. Like, I'll be like, okay, I want to do 3 good deeds a day. Like, even if it's just picking up some trash. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. It really works too. It feels good too.
Yeah. Yeah, it absolutely does. Shoot, and then there was another point I wanted to, in answer to your question, and I cannot for the life of me remember what it was, though, but that's okay.
It's fine. It was just me talking too much. That's all it was, dude.
No, you know what happened? I talk myself too much. And then I get off on a tangent. I got to tell the whole story, and I forget where I was going to go next. I'm terrible for that.
You're fine, man. You're fine. You're the guest, buddy. You're the guest. You talk, what you say, whatever it is you feel like saying, dude. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all good, man.
Cool.
Yeah. We're good, dude. Yeah, it's good. That was a good dude. That was a good vibe. People don't like uncomfortable silences, but I do.
I don't mind them. I guess sometimes it gives you a moment to be like, okay, here's a good topic. But one thing one other kind of weird thing that came. So when I was in that OBE experience and I'm like talking with this council, this was like just a juicy little factoid, I guess, take it or leave it. So while they were up there, I was like getting some downloads about just random information. And so and please, I don't want to offend anybody if you're religious or anything. Not this is against religion, but it's about Jesus. And I know people have strong beliefs, but I'm just going to share this. Take it or leave it. So what they downloaded to me was Jesus was also a starseed. So he went through, and I mean, I don't know exactly what parts of the story are true or not, but it was just like, so he was a starseed and, went through his process of awakening. And so let's just assume the story is true as it's told. Basically, he was put in a position, so kind of the same idea, like humanity's coming to a point of like a reckoning or whatever, where something could happen. And he chose, because it was like humanity collectively had built up so much negative karma. And he came down as this starseed to teach the way, because he said, I am the way, right? And he also said, all of these things I can do, you can do, and more. So the return of Christ is not about him coming back. It's about us learning what we're all capable of, because he showed us what we're capable of. He showed us what he could do. And he said, I am the way. So he lived his life as an example. And when he got to this point where, something would have happened and he would have been like, say he had a life review. Essentially what it came down to is when he was sort of maybe he went up on a ship. I don't know how exactly it worked, but when they asked him, what do we do? Like, humanity is at a point where it's at a reckoning. You've been down and experienced them. What do we do? Like, and he said, I will die for their sins. I will take all that karma and I will transmute it for them so that they can keep living, and they don't have to have like a cataclysm, essentially. And so like that excruciating death he endured, like it was weird because if you ever watched The Passion of the Christ, like I don't know if that's historically accurate for sure, but like that brutality, there was some of that brutality there. So he endured not just a death, because like nobody should be afraid of death, but that kind of enduring that pain and that torture. So he endured that to clear the karma of Earth so that everybody could keep living. And that's when, and he says things like, they forgive them, Father. They don't know what they do. They don't know that I'm clearing this for them, right? And like at any time, it was shown like he could have really claimed some power. So say if he's getting whipped and he's carrying that cross and he's getting beaten, at any time he could have just claimed his power and been like, okay, this is who I really am, But he was like, no, let humanity evolve. Let me clear this karma. Let me endure this horrible, horrible death. And suffer on the cross. So I just thought that was like a very interesting way they showed me what the truth about Jesus' sacrifice was. So like I said, so I wanted to share that. If it resonates for people, it does. If not, whatever.
No, I think it's a very. I'll use the word interpretation. I think it's a wonderful interpretation. I think it's a wonderful interpretation. I have no problem with that. I have Christian friends. I have friends Muslim. I have friends. It don't matter to me. I think it's a wonderful interpretation of what that was. I don't see why it wouldn't be. There's no evidence to really speak against it so much, unless you're a devout believer and things like that. And I don't mean, just like Jason does, no offense whatsoever. It's just we should be able to interpret it. If God gave us this mind to think this way, then we're actually doing God's work, to be honest with you. Not to be rude or anything. Jason, before I get you up out of here, you've been sorry, I'm so sorry. Yeah, please, before I keep talking.
Yeah, I was just gonna say and I guess on that vein, and that's just it, somebody that's really devout might be offended, but and I would just say one thing that's been shown to me over and over again, and I think just resonates in my heart, is all the different religions, belief systems, all of these things that are dividing us. And it's insanity to me that it divides us, because if you look at it, it's 98% all the same things, maybe different names, but it's all the same message and the same stories and the same themes. And we really need to get over that, because that's just a divisive control structure to keep us all compartmentalized, fighting over those tiny differences when the vast majority of it should be uniting us. And that's it's a big game. It really is.
It's just the same thing I was going to say before. It's right. So I was going to ask you to leave us out here on a positive note. Maybe you could. You kind of already did it, but if there's anything else, I think I'm not trying to undermine what you just said, because I agree with you.
Yeah,
I do.
Positive note.
Like I said, I'm not a religious guy myself, but there is God in my life. You understand what I mean? Let's leave on a positive note for this turbulent times that we're in, to leave people on a positive note before I get you up out of here, my friend.
Okay, sure. So right now, this will take me 2 minutes to get all out, I think. Right now, humanity is going through a big shift, and everything in the media is trying to convince you that we're going and it's going to be bad and it's going to get harder and it's going to get worse. And if you fall into that fear, it will. But if just we need to stay positive, because I mean, I can tell you, I feel this draw. It's like in my heart space, and there's good things coming for all of us. There's profoundly good things coming for all of us. It might look scary here and there. There might be some turmoil, but just don't succumb to the fear. I guarantee very positive, good things are coming for humanity in the coming, like this year, things are going to start to improve. And probably over the next 3 years, and we are gonna start seeing these things. We are gonna start seeing these amazing things with contact events, and things are gonna get better. Just we can't let the powers that were use our consciousness to manipulate us into fear. Like, just stay positive, and I mean everything. There's great things coming for humanity. I don't know exactly what they are, but I just like strongly know in my soul that we're co-creating really good things. That's just like
that is a
you have to have faith in that, I guess. But I know it. We're co-creating something incredible.
Yeah, because what they try to do is they keep you within your five senses, guys. They try to make you resonate on that fear level in the reptilian brain, keep you there, or in the mammalian brain, if we're lucky, which is reproduction, fear of the unknown, fear of the neighbor, fear of the person on the other side of a border, and we can't do that anymore. Yeah. We're beyond that point, and just don't fall into that, man. This has been amazing, my friend. One more time, where can everyone find you if they're looking for you? We already have somebody who looked up your website while we were here, and they said they found you.
Thank you so much.
That's great. Yeah.
So the website, quantumlighthouse.ca, thequantumlighthouse.ca. It's good. It's a good website. It still needs some work, but social media, Facebook group is the Quantum Lighthouse, Instagram is the Quantum Lighthouse, and my TikTok, I think. Like, I have not been very active in social media, but just the last few days, I've just been recording videos. I'm going to start getting really active on social media. So my TikTok, I think if you search Jason Slawosky, it comes up, or the Quantum Alchemist. And yeah.
All right, man. Dude, this has been incredible. This has been a lot more than I bargained for. And I'm going to reiterate what everyone's writing in the chat. Thank you. Everyone's super. They're already asking me to request you to come back on. We'll do that on a future date, of course. But we will definitely do this again. We just sit down and talk, because I always run across. I run across a lot of Bigfoot and alien, a lot of things like that. But I love these kind of chats because they're just so meaningful and delightful. And you have been a delightful guest, Jason. I appreciate it so very much. It's just like Pam says, we are the eye and we are aware. This is, and you enjoy yourself. You have a wonderful evening. And don't forget, February 14th is coming up, guys. I will be having a 1-year anniversary show. And at the same time, Jason, remember, you have to take your girlfriend out on February 14th. It's meaningful. And if one day, I know it's a holiday with all that, but just don't do the holiday thing. Go take her to a lake. Go do something. Well, it's freezing up where you are, but do something wonderful with your lady. And
yeah, we'll go to the mountains to watch for UFOs, probably.
There you go. That sounds like love. That sounds like there's love in the air.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much, my friend, and we'll keep in touch. Okay.
That's good. Thanks, brother.
Right.
Bye.
So that was the wonderful, enchanting, very positive, beautiful person. I feel privileged to know him, at least on a somewhat friendly level. I think this is the second time I've interviewed him. This is like a year ago, last time that I've seen him, and he's an awesome person, and he really fits to what my show initially started out as, is the eye of Jupiter. We are the eye, we are aware. That means the eye looking upon yourself, looking upon the universe, looking back at Earth, the power and majesty within that storm, the eye. Do me a favor, when you leave out the show, please like and comment after the show. Everyone, that does help me in the algorithm. Go on over to to your favorite podcast site, Spotify, and leave me a review. That helps me out in the algorithm so we can get this message out. Red Edge Savage, you have a story you want to tell, and I don't know who you are. That's fine. If you wanted to, this weekend is a very busy weekend for me. I'm going to spend some family time with my wonderful daughter, my best friend in the whole wide world. But if you want to write me a message, please do so. If you want to remain anonymous, we can change your name. It'll be an episode where it's just audio and you have a blank picture up, or you can just write it to me because you need to get it off your chest. All those are acceptable. However it is you want to get the information out. You've been on here a few times. Here's my email one more time. If you guys out there, if you guys have any stories or any encounters, if you have something positive that you want to talk about, or any, something that maybe someone else you think would like to hear, something good, something interesting, something amazing, things that we haven't. The Quantum Alchemist. That was fun. Hey, you were in the background there. I didn't know. Thanks for having me. Oh, there he is. That was Jason writing. I was like, who's the Quantum Alchemist? That was his website, guys. I'm messing it all up. So, right up after this, guys, we're my friend Daniel Cahoon, the podcast host of the wonderful podcast, The Magical Journey, is going to have on a good friend of mine from Bigfoot Data and Reports, Harley Owens. They're going to have a wonderful discussion that will happen in approximately 15 minutes. Please do me a favor, stay tuned and jump over to his channel and go ahead and check out that discussion, because you put those two together in the same room and literally magic is going to happen. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Go and check me out. Find me in the description below. If you guys want to, send me a couple bucks, all my stuff is down there. If you want to get some merch, help out the channel, however it is you want to go out there and spread the message that we're trying to spread, I would appreciate that with all my heart. I really mean that. And please also remember, we are the eye and we are aware. Love you all.